Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Hunting dinosaurs and shooting Xenos were two of the best gaming pastimes of the 1990s. Alas, after the evolutionary dead end of Turok evolution, the dino shooter went on the endangered species list. But something had survived, and like a phoenix rising from the ashes, Turok 2008 tried to bring back the dino shooter, and it worked about as well as, arms on a T-Rex. But then, in 2009, Cauldron HQ tried to piece together the remnants of the dino shooter and attempted to create something that would restart the entire concept. Alas, they were working with very fragmentary bits of DNA and were trying to process it with a 90s era Cray supercomputer, and thus gave us Jurassic the Hunted.
Jurassic the Hunted is a first-person shooter of the most low-budgeted of order, and is also quite modern in its mindset despite it being a dino shooter. You can only carry 2 weapons at one time, and you have rather generous regenerative health. However, as a point in this game's favor, if the dinos can close on you in heavy numbers, you will be torn to shreds rather quickly. Most of the time, sadly, the AI is too dumb to flank you and instead just runs at you in a straight line. You then move down a linear series of hallways and then shoot some more, and then get stuck in an arena and shoot some more, and then fight a boss and then do it all over again in the very next level. The biggest problem with the gameplay for Jurassic the Hunted is the fact that it needs to be a cowbell, much less more. The enemy AI, while dumb, can be surprisingly intelligent and tough to take down. The bosses can be hard and can require strategy to kill. Alas, there are only a few enemies and a bunch of dead space, making the game really boring. A dino shooter should be fast-paced and have lots of really nail-biting firefights, although how you can bite your nails and hold a controller, I do not know. But anyway, the game is modern again in the fact that you have very little gameplay in this first-person shooter game. The enemy are limited numbers and take few hits to kill, and you never feel like you were challenged. There are turret sections, and these feel even more boring as there are never enough enemies to pose a serious threat. And yes, in this game, you can shoot down dinos with a Gatling gun. We will talk about that a bit later. One of the final bosses is actually quite inspired though, and while it's a turret section boss fight, the devs actually made it challenging. Whatever next? The game also features a few QTEs, along with attempts to make the game more fancy. When you walk along a narrow path, you have to use the joystick to keep great value. No. This guy's even lower budget than Walmart. AliExpress Serious Sam from falling. In the PS3 version of the game, you use the 6-axis motion controller thing to keep him from falling, which is admittedly a nice use of a motion controller gimmick. With that in mind, we are taking a look at the PS2 version of the game, and for a PS2 game, it looks pretty good, as you would expect from a PS2 game released in 2009. The game also came out on the PS3 and Xbox 360, and they both had better graphics and a few little gameplay differences, but what you see here is what you get on the other systems, more or less. I have played Jurassic the Hunted on the PS3, and I even reviewed it for the PS3 on CGR Undertow, and now I'm quite sure you are asking the question, why are you bloody well reviewing it again?
Really? What other game lets you fight spitting Dilophosaurs in the caldera of an active lava-spewing volcano with an 1861 rifle musket?
This right here is why I decided to give this game the full General Lotz treatment. The game has some really cool guns that you just don't see in other games. You have the 1861 rifle musket as a sharpshooting rifle, you have a revolving rifle, you have a Browning automatic rifle that is erroneously labeled as an assault rifle. The bar was designed as an automatic rifle and later was used in World War II as the LMG/GPMG roll, and never was an assault rifle. But yes, in all reality, I'm only reviewing this game because it has an 1861 rifle musket.
I am a gun gamer. I like my games to have cool guns, just like I like to have cool guns in real life.
I am playing this game with PCSX2, and it runs flawlessly at 60 FPS, and cleans up rather well, and thankfully plays well with a 360 controller. One other gameplay element that I did not mention before was the slow-mo X-ray mode that you can toggle now and again that lets you target an enemy's vital areas. It looks cool, but I don't think this mode actually does anything, as I never killed anything faster with it. In the PS3 version, you have weapon upgrade kits that are not present in the PS2 version. These are not that useful since once you get a Scar 17S, you become the living avatar of corn! The enemy variety is of decent quality, although you will be facing raptors by the battalion, and these guys get boring pretty fast. The bosses are usually some of the bigger dinos, such as Mormon raptors, but overall it's a pretty bargain basic bunch of beasts. But thankfully, you never have to face any humies and engage in cover-based shooting. Now, you can take cover when facing Diplodocsaurs if you have nothing else better to waste your life on. Music for the game is 100% AliExpress bargain basic, but can always be worse, and the voice acting is surprisingly entertaining.
Now, let's take a look at the Asylum-inspired mess that is the story.
The story really does feel like an Asylum movie, as it's silly and convoluted and filled with cliches, e.g., my kind of late-night cable TV sci-fi story. You play as Dude Bro, the mercenary. You are hired to provide security for a scientist trying to study the Bermuda Triangle. You get swept up into a time storm and sent back to the Cretaceous period, wherein you must fight the dino and not be afraid of anything. You do get to talk to your buddy, who will give you a few plot hints here and there, and the plot tries to mix things up time splitter style here and there as well, with extremely varying results. After fighting entire armies of raptors, you meet up with Dude Bro's buddy and a scientist dude that is Science Chick's father, and he charges you with the epic mission to find a secret time gubbin that the Nat Socks were using, because apparently in this universe, the Nat Socks were just that advanced. Sure. It is here we see some levels that are awfully reminiscent of a certain game.
When you're ripping off Turok 2008, you know you've not only scraped the bottom of the barrel, but you've dug about 2 feet under it.
Also, how did the Nat Socks get a time displacement gubbin? Maybe the Philadelphia experiment was real, and if that was real, then the contrails must be mind controls, and oh my god, the frogs weren't gay, they were secretly an army of communist dinosaurs waiting for us to let our guard down.
By the grace of Telos, people are going to want me to review that bloody X-Files game now.
After getting the time gubbin, it's time for the best boss fight of the game. You have to fight 2 T-Rexes with a 30 cal Browning air-cooled machine gun, and you have to watch how fast you're shooting, otherwise the machine gun will overheat, and you will not be able to fire for a few seconds. And thus, the foul monster will devour you with wild abandon.
You know, it's just that hard to make a turret section actually sound exciting.
Once you kill the T-Rexes, you then get more plot. And oh, this is so very late 2000s. The Mayans predicted the time storms, and that if they are not stopped, they will destroy the whole world. Also, polar reversal. This was popular like the Y2K plot was before the year 2000. Now, in 2020, we can find the whole 2012 Doomsday concept to be really silly. But people actually took that lunacy seriously back then. We have a few boss fights with the Spinosaurus Aegypticus, and you go Alan Grant on his ass. But alas, you don't actually get the kill. Still though, Spike, as he's known, looks good on the PS2 and has a great degree of height to him, and looks damn good when you face him on the King Kong wall.
As befitting a game of such low budget, you don't actually accomplish anything in the game.
At the end of the game, they were down to their last €2, and thus, Bro Dude's buddy gets the kill off screen. I will give the game credit for subverting expectations, as Dude Bro's buddy gives a little speech about self-sacrifice, and then makes the player think that he died, only for him to show up in the next cutscene having killed Spike. And the game ends with Bro Dude and Science Chick getting picked up by Dude Bro's buddy, and in a nod to the game that would never be made, we see that Spike is alive!
For all its low-budget crappiness, I love this game.
On a numerical scale, this is a 69.5. Thanks to rounding up, this game is actually 100% average! Everything about this game is so bad, it's good. From the lackluster levels, to the boring enemies, to the late-night cable TV story. With that in mind, as bad as it is, you can tell some effort was put into this game. You don't make a game this average by half-assing. The devs actually tried their best with their €50 budget, and it shows. Everything in the game at least works, and there is actually some personality on display in the story, and where they could make the game fun, they actually did.
Believe it or not, I actually recommend this game. You can riff games just like you can riff movies, and this game is eminently riffable. So gather around a bunch of friends and mock this game unmercifully. And so, I am General Lotz, wishing you good Star Wars, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, and good... could it be 13? Or whatever makes you happy.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and if you can, please consider supporting me on Patreon so that I can continue bringing you this awesome content. As Dude Bros Buddy gives a self-sacrifice... As Dude Bros Buddy gives a self-sacrifice... As Dude Bros Buddy gives a self-sacrifice... Self-sacrifice... As Dude Bros Buddy gives a self-sacrifice... Fuck! As Dude Bros Buddy gives a self-sacrifice...